over here!
Right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keenan, and today I'm covering quite an exciting game, one I know that you guys are so bloody hyped for, which is Resident Evil 3. Now, for those of you who have been living under a rock and wondering, hey, I thought Resident Evil 3 came out way back in the 90s, well, yes, you are correct in that wee assumption, but recently at PlayStation State of Play, Capcom came out and announced the long-awaited Remake 3. Now, just to clarify, just before we get into the video, I just want to say, so basically, the first 3 Resident Evil games, all 3 of them have been remade now, so it kind of gets a wee bit complicated when you're saying Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3, because people don't know if you're talking about the original or if you're talking about the remake. Of course, in this case, we're talking about the remake, but just to clarify things going further, I'm just going to call this Remake 3, because there's a wee guy on Twitter that said that. He was like, hey, by the way, you should call it Remake 2, Remake 1, and Remake 3, and I'm like, yeah, do you know what, I'm going to do that, that makes sense. As of making this video, there's only been 2 trailers for the game, which are the initial announcement trailer, then that little developer talk thing with the 2 developers sitting there talking about stuff. But I will be making more videos as information comes out, so don't worry, if I do miss out information in this video, then I will be covering you guys later on. Do not worry, the news will be coming. But anyway, let's dive right into it, starting with the story. Resident Evil 3 follows Jill Valentine as she attempts to escape from Raccoon City after an outbreak of the T-virus causes everyone to fucking die. Well, turn into zombies, but the same thing. Before the outbreak, Jill and the surviving STARS members were investigating Umbrella, but due to them owning most of the city, including the police force, she was suspended and ordered to remain at home, where she was under constant surveillance by Umbrella. The game takes place before and after Resident Evil 2, meaning that we will be seeing certain locations before they are impacted by the events of the previous game. One of these locations we will be visiting is the RPD, which appears to be one of the destinations for Carlos Oliveira? Is that how you say it? Did I get that right? And his team. Carlos is a member of the Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service, a private military force operated by the Umbrella Corporation, the evil bastards responsible for the T-virus and Jill's time at the Spencer Mansion in the first game. So yeah, they cannot be trusted. Although Carlos is technically a member of Umbrella, it appears that he is trying to save as many survivors as possible, including Jill. A major part of this game, so much so that it was the subtitle for the original Resident Evil 3, is Nemesis. You may have heard tall tales of this wee beast, but what exactly is it? Well, Nemesis is a tyrant similar to Resident Evil 2's Mr. X, but whose sole task is to find and kill the remaining members of the STARS team, which just so happens to include Miss Valentine. The reason why Nemesis is so much more terrifying than Mr. X is because he is far more intimidating and intelligent. He doesn't walk slowly after you wearing the fedora, he fucking legs it down hallways, bursts through walls and shit like that, firing fucking rockets with an RPG. See, I think that's way more intimidating. I think that's way more fucking scary when you're just walking, creeping down hallways and then suddenly this cunt bursts through the fucking wall like Jack Baker. Oh, never mind, Jack Baker got it from him, yeah. No, the other way around. Basically, Jill is in for a hell of a time when trying to escape Raccoon City. Now, more onto the speculation side of things. I do love speculating about a game's story. It appears that Jill might be suffering from PTSD from the mansion incident. At least that's what the announcement trailer sort of indicates anyway. I mean, it does sort of make sense. Like, if you experience some horrific shit all in one night involving zombies, giant fucking spiders, and massive snakes that poison your guys and everyone around you that's dying, you would have some sort of nightmare. You would have some sort of trauma from that experience. So it makes total sense for her to have PTSD rather than just waving that whole event off and be like, that's just a normal night in the Force, it's fine. Now this all comes from the very last shot in the announcement trailer with Jill sitting there looking in the mirror, and then she sees that her body is kinda becoming zombified a wee bit, and others have said that that scene might just be her in a dream sequence, but I do hope she does actually genuinely have some trauma from the first game, because that would be just it'll make it more realistic, it'll make it more engaging as well, and I do hope that sort of PTSD affects her throughout the entire game. I don't know, maybe that's all just speculation, that could just not be the case. Hola, this is Editing Kieran, by the way. So recently, Capcom came in when I was making this video and decided to release a tiny bit of information, so I'm just going to scatter that about throughout the video. So basically, they have recently came out and said that they're going to be making some big changes for Remake 3. So what do they mean by this? Well, it basically means that some story events will be dramatically changed from the original game. Side characters will also be given more screen time to make them a lot more interesting overall. And the character Dario Russo, you know, the wee fat guy that was in the warehouse in the original game, not really a big character, will actually have a much larger role in the game as well. Basically what Capcom's saying here is that don't go into this game thinking it's going to be the exact same as the original Resident Evil 3, because it's going to be different, a lot different actually than the original story-wise anyway. But yeah, that's all I have for you for the story. I don't want to dive into it too much because I could potentially just spoil the game for newcomers. So yeah, let's move on and explore a wee bit of the gameplay. Remake 3 is a classic survival horror game that has the same third-person over-the-shoulder perspective as Remake 2. Well, I say classic survival horror, but this game will actually be more action-focused than the previous title. Which figures since we're going to be chased around the city by an enormous prick with a bazooka, so yeah, it kinda makes sense that it's more action-focused. Since we haven't really seen much of the gameplay because Capcom haven't really released any, at least from the single player anyway, we'll come back to that in a wee minute, I'll be basing this mainly from RE2's gameplay, or Remake 2's gameplay, I don't know, whatever you want to fucking call the game. But before we do that, let's discuss the new additions to the gameplay that we did see from the small little glimpses that Remake 3 brought. First up, we have the return of the dodge mechanic, which thank fuck, by the way. We're definitely going to need it. The dodging will come in handy in not only encounters with a nemesis, but also with ordinary zombies as well. That was actually one of my main gripes about Remake 2, is the fact that zombies can just sometimes auto-grab you and you have like no power over that situation. You have, like, you can shoot them in the head, aye, but they'll still fucking lunge at you, and then you'll enter this sort of glimpsey cutscene thing and you can't really do much except for smash fucking buttons, and then you'll still get bit. Which I understand why they did that, but, you know, won't. Ideally, in any situation, you would have pushed the cunt out of the way, or, you know, I don't know, just dodged. Like, I'm pretty sure the average human can dodge. You ever heard of dodgeball? I'm pretty sure they do that in PE school. Talking about Nemesis though, this guy is going to majorly affect the gameplay. Changing it from slowly navigating around your environment to properly legging it to the nearest exit, Forrest Gump style. Nemesis will act similar to Mr. X in terms of pursuing and stalking the player, but in the special developer message video what I just talked about beforehand, they did confirm that the tyrant has a lot more ways to track Jill than in Remake 2. Kinda curious to the extent they will go with this, like, see if I left a door open or something like that, will the Nemesis see that door is open, then they will just slowly follow this breadcrumb trail that I unknowingly left, and then he'll just somehow just bust through the wall and be like, well, hello there. Nemesis is also said to be a lot more ferocious in the remake than the original, which makes me a lot more terrified, to be honest, because I do have a feeling this guy is going to ruin many of my days after this releases. So what other enemies are we going to be dealing with in the game? Well, it was also confirmed through that little Capcom video I was telling you about earlier that the Hunter Beta will be in the game, this time being quite different than the usual hunters that you've experienced in the past. Kawata hinted that Remake 3's hunters will behave differently as they have reimagined the creature for a modern audience. Now onto the more simple gameplay mechanics for those of you who haven't really played the Remake 2 or haven't really played Resident Evil in general. Since this has only been like little over a year after the release of Remake 2, expect Remake 3 to have more or less the same style in gameplay as 2. This means expect the same inventory system, the same combat except for the dodging, and the exact same visuals. Inventory is simple enough, you'll get like around 8 slots to work with the possibility of upgrading to get more throughout the game. In typical RE fashion, it is here where you combine herbs, you get gunpowder, you can combine that into ammo, and in general, just manage supplies. But if you do have too many items in your inventory, you can always go back to like an item box that you find in a save room, store a few items in there you go, on your way. Combat is quite simple, with Jill able to gather a few weapons to help her on her journey. But just because you get a few guns doesn't mean you should go around blasting every fucking zombie you see. This is still a survival horror game, meaning that you need to conserve as much supplies as possible, especially if you're going to take on the Nemesis and what other baddies await you in Raccoon City. Although because Resident Evil 3 was a more action-oriented game, you will be getting bigger guns this time around, like a machine gun and all this sort of stuff. Basically, see all like the rarer extra guns you got near the end of all these other survival horror games, you get that much early on and much more streamlined in this game. While we are on gameplay, by the way, I noticed that we haven't discussed the biggest thing being added to Resident Evil 3 Remake. Yes, you're probably wondering, Kieran, what are you on about? Is there any more this game can offer? Well, guess what, guys? You're going to be getting a fantastic multiplayer component, a 4v1 multiplayer game mode. That is right, if you thought I wasn't going to go anywhere near Resident Evil Resistance in this video, you're dead bloody wrong. Now, let's talk about Resistance. Let's do it. Let's dive into it. Fuck it. In Resistance, you either play as one of the 4 survivors or the evil mastermind. The survivors are captured by Umbrella and put in a facility where they have to fight for survival against all sorts of horrors, including zombies, lickers, and yes, even tyrants. Players can select a unique survivor like Martin Sandwich. Fucking Martin Sandwich. They each have their own skill sets. One could be really good at computers, or another could be very good at combat, and then of course you might have a guy like Martin Sandwich, who I'm guessing is good at lockpicking. As a survivor, you must complete objectives in order to progress through the map until you can escape. You also have a time limit working against you as well, which I think is 5 minutes. I think you have like a initial 5-minute timer, which is drastically affected if one of the survivors dies. So yeah, in this game mode, it isn't like a permadeath or anything like that. You will die and you can respawn, but then you will have these consequences against you, which again is very different from Dead by Daylight. Now, for the Masterminds is a much more interesting story there. You either play as a knockoff Wesker or Annette Birkin, and your goal is to prevent the survivors from escaping. Unlike other 4v1 horror games, you don't actually come face to face with the survivors. Instead, you observe them through cameras and use special cars to place traps, spawn in creatures, and even weaponize your own security cameras. You can also take direct control of the creatures you spawn, and then even maybe eventually become Mr. X if you're good enough. The overall gameplay is similar to that of the base Resident Evil games. You know, you have the over-the-shoulder camera and you have the general gameplay mechanics. I would say the one major thing that turns me off this mode is the disgusting, like literally every time I look at the screenshot I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at here? And that is the HUD. Like, sorry, but see that massive fucking timer at the top? It's so off-putting. The whole thing looks like a fan mod, and I'm not joking when I say that. It does genuinely look like a fan mod. But I will give the mode a chance when the game comes out, because, you know, why not? It's free. It looks fun, at least to me anyway. Right, so before we clock off for this episode, there is one more thing I want to discuss with you all about Remake 3, and specifically the announcement trailer. So at the beginning of the trailer, we see through the eyes of Jill as she is attempting to escape a building. Now, I'm going to have so much fun talking about this. Now, what causes so many alarms to go off, at least in the minds of the hardcore, and that's in quotation marks, of the RE community, is the fact that this segment looks like genuine first-person gameplay. Just by the way the camera's moving, by the way the animations are, it does look like gameplay in a way. I did get a few comments in my reaction video basically saying this: I don't want first person in my Resident Evil. So yeah, that's basically how I read the comments anyway. I got a few of them and I'm like, right, okay, you seem like a fucking nerd with no mindset whatsoever. Now obviously I'm not saying this applies to everyone who is against first person, of course not. There is a lot of people out there that are like, you know, okay, like, cool. There is a lot of people out there that are totally fine with an option. Now, let me just emphasize that word, because a lot of people don't know what the word option means. So let me just describe the word option to you. Let me just explain the meaning, because I think a lot of people haven't took English. So basically, optional means you do not need to do it that way. It is optional. It means that there will be third person. You can play in third person. You can do it that way. That can be your experience. Or there is the option for first person, and then you check that box and the game is in first person, and there you are, you're good to go. Now I'm not saying first person will be in this game. It does look like there might be a chance, but personally, this is all my personal opinion by the way, I do want the option of first person to be in there. I really do want the first person option because I want to play this game in PSVR. Like, that's it. Like, see, if you turned away from Resident Evil 7 screaming "re" because it was in first person, then you really need to get a grip. That's it. That's what I'm going to say to all the people fucking screaming "re." You need to get a grip, because imagine, let me just paint a picture in your head, guys. Imagine you strap on the PSVR headset, you're walking through the RPD, and then Nemesis starts the chase. Now you're locked in, you're in that chase, you are a part of that chase, you are running away from Nemesis. You look over your shoulder while you're running, and you see that cunt fucking on your tail. That would be terrifying. That would be fucking amazing. And if you say otherwise, then you are a fucking liar. You're not only lying to yourself, but you're lying to others, and you're lying to me. But yeah, that's all fun in games, by the way. Do not worry. If you don't like first person, that's completely fine. Everyone has their own opinion. But like I said there, I'd love it to be optional, you know? There's nothing wrong with an option. So that was Remake 3. What do you guys think about this new announcement? Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Also, if I have missed out on any information, please link it down in the comments below, because I have watched other videos about the game that say some information that I can't really find any source for. So like, I can't really confirm it, and if I can't confirm it, I'm not going to say it in my video, because I don't want to spread around false information. That's just not me. Special thanks to my lovely wee patrons, KG, Proxy1, Devil and TG Monster, for your continued support over my Patreon. Thank you guys so much, I do really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you for watching the video. It got a wee bit of hand towards the later half, but it's fine. I had to say it. By the way, to that one cunt in the comment who said, if I like first person in Resident Evil, I'm not an RE fan, then I just want to say one thing to you. You're a literal definition of a fucking retard. So yeah, just want to say that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall see you all in the next video. Bye bye.